Hi, I'm Larry King, and welcome to another special edition. This is not Larry King Now, which is my regular program on Ora TV every day, which is distributed by Hulu. These are our special series of programs. We did them following the convention. We'll do them following all 4 debates, and on election night, we'll come to you from the Reagan Library right here in Southern California. Our object is to discuss the debate as it just happened, get your comments and inquiries as well. We're happy to have you aboard. We ask you to subscribe, by the way, to youtube.com/OraTV. That's youtube.com/OraTV. You can subscribe to that. It's free. You get lots of information, lots of pointers as well. Let's meet our panel. Meghan McCain, columnist for the Daily Beast, best-selling co-author of America, You Sexy Bitch. I love that title. She is the daughter of the 2008 GOP presidential nominee, Senator John McCain. Michael Ian Black is the comic actor, writer, and director, and best-selling co-author of that book. Tanya Acker is the Democratic strategist, attorney, and commentator. She worked on the 2004 Kerry Edwards campaign. And our good pal, Ben Stein, Republican best-selling author. His new book is How to Really Ruin Your Financial Life and Portfolio. And he worked as a speechwriter for Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford, and he comes from a great family, too. I knew his father well. Ben Stein, happy to have you aboard. Let's start with you, Ben. Your overview of this debate tonight.
It's a cliche, but it made me proud to be an American. I thought they got a lot of information out. They did it in an extremely civil, polite way. I was mindful of the fact that they are from different parties, but they were at all times very polite to one another. The differences between them seemed to be much smaller than their similarities. It made me proud to be part of a country where even in the height of an election campaign, the opposing candidates are so kind to one another and so informative. I thought I learned quite a lot tonight, especially about the health care, which went on for way too long, but still I learned quite a lot about it, and I was extremely impressed.
Any gaffes?
I don't think I saw a single gotcha moment. I don't think I saw a single change of the terms of the debate moment. I just saw 2 very reasonable men working hard to earn my vote and earn the Americans' votes. I thought it was exactly what a debate should be.
Meghan?
Yeah, the only gotcha moment was maybe Jim Lear. I mean, he got Kanye'd by Mitt Romney saying, I'm not going to let you finish, I'm going to keep going. But I agree with Ben. I thought it was incredible. It made me really proud of Mitt Romney. He really came out swinging. Even very liberal commentators on Twitter were saying that it was a great night for Romney, and he really came out and gave all the details, which is what we were been asking for.
So you're saying he won the debate?
Yes, I definitely think Mitt Romney won.
And we'll go now to Tanya.
I agree with Ben, and I will say something about this debate in terms of the format. It really made me want to see both of these guys like locked in a room with a camera and no moderator, and then just to have them go at it for hours and hours. That's how they could win this debate. I disagree with Meghan. I don't think either of them won this debate. I think that they both acquitted themselves admirably. You know, as a Democrat, I'll say that I think it was probably the best I've seen Mitt Romney in a long time. You know, he had some passion and he seemed to connect. I think that the president was strong on providing details. I think that he was strong on pointing out where Romney didn't provide details. But I think in terms of really having a winner or a loser, you know, Romney did what he needed to do for his folks. Obama did what he needed to do for his folks. So I don't think there was a gotcha. I don't think there was anything that was particularly a game changer for either of them.
The Lincoln-Douglas debates were conducted where they each questioned each other. There was no moderator.
And they went on for something like 8 hours.
That's what we should have.
And Douglas won the election, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
For the Senate. What did you make of it, Michael?
I agree with what the panel is saying. I think I look at it like, you know, sometimes you watch a baseball game where it goes into extra innings, 13, 14, 15 innings, and finally somebody just sort of hits the ball through the right field, and you feel like it's too bad that both teams couldn't have won because it was such a good game. You know, if I had to score it, I'd say Romney probably did win this debate, as much as it pains me to admit. But I agree. I felt like I was watching 2 intelligent, informed, presidential candidates up there appealing to my vote, and I thought it was terrific.
I thought, as I watched, I kept thinking, I am so lucky to be an American, so blessed to be an American and have these 2 very intelligent guys vying for my vote. I thought to myself, I would really like to have Romney win, and I think he seemed much more presidential than I could have expected him to be. But I thought Obama was so good that I was very impressed with him, too. I just thought this is a great night for America.
Sounds like Ben Stein just endorsed Obama.
I don't think so.
He has not. On previous shows, you said you thought Obama would win this election.
I think Romney may have opened up a little bit of space for him to come back at this point, for him to come back. I think he's seen, what I liked best for him was when he said, "That's simply not true, Mr. President," when Mr. Obama was saying various things about Romney's position, and Romney corrected him several times and said, "I'm not going to cut this, I'm not going to cut that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that." I liked that, but he said it in a very polite way. Everybody was so polite. I mean, you think to yourself of the way candidates campaign in bitter, angry countries, and then you think of this glorious America where even the most difficult enemies are so polite to each other. It's just wonderful.
Megan, do you think it was a game changer?
I think it's the beginning of a game changer. I think the discussion tomorrow, even, liberals on this panel are saying that it was a draw. It wasn't a great win for Obama, and I think Romney really came out swinging in a way that I haven't seen him before, and that's definitely some kind of a game change.
In previous debates, though, the challenger usually has won the first debate because he has more to attack.
Right. I mean, he's got a record. He has a record to attack, but he also has a record to defend. But I think that Romney was really cognizant of the fact that he needs to be clear and he needs to connect with people, and he did that. I do think Obama had a great night. I mean, I know we're calling it a draw, but let me just be very clear. I think the president did a very good job. And again, the devil's in the details. I think that Governor Romney has been sparse on details. I think he's still sparse on details. But I think that what happened tonight is that they brought the conversation closer so that at some point between now and the 30 days, instead of trying to disenfranchise people in Pennsylvania and Ohio, we'll actually be talking about differences in policy. Maybe that's where this conversation can go now.
I thought actually Mr. Romney won in the first minute by making that joke about, "I know it's your anniversary and I know this is the most romantic thing you can be is to be here in this room with me." That just showed a kind of a warm, folksy side to him that we have not seen before. And I would say, rather than give us so many details about your specific programs, which we do want to see, let's see more of that warm, friendly type. I saw Reagan arguing and debating, I should say, with Mr. Mondale on C-SPAN from the '84 election, and Reagan really did not know the facts better than Mondale. He didn't have a better program necessarily, but he was so much folksier and friendlier. He just had a magnetism to it. He's the guy you wanted sitting next to you on the plane from L.A. to New York.
I can't say either candidate was particularly Reagan-esque in that way tonight. Neither of them have that sort of visceral connection, I think, with their constituents, although we've seen flashes from Obama, certainly in the last campaign. But I agree with you that what we saw for the first time from Governor Romney was that kind of warmth and personality that people like Megan assure me is there when you actually meet the man. It was nice to see it in person.
Let's go over to David Begg now, who is our social media expert. His new show, by the way, debuts this month on Aura TV. David, what are we hearing?
Larry, people talking more about Jim Lehrer and Big Bird on Twitter right now than they are about Romney or Obama. Check this out, 17,000 tweets per minute for Big Bird, 10,000 tweets per minute for PBS. They even started a Fire Big Bird Twitter account, Larry, while the debate was going on, with a picture of Big Bird that says, "Will work for food." As we continue moving up, more tweets from the Fire Big Bird account just started again during the debate.
Is that because Romney said he would cut PBS
Because
funding?
he said he would cut PBS funding. So Big Bird tweets, "Mitt Romney will end Bert and Ernie's right to a civil union." Kind of being funny as we're watching. Actress Olivia Wilde tweeting, "Mitt is smirky, sweaty, indignant, and smug with an unsettling hint of hysteria, and he wants to kill Big Bird." Luis Gomez during the debate tweeting, "Winner is presidential debate 2012, Big Bird, loser Jim Lehrer." They even started a Twitter account for Jim Lehrer, Larry, during the debate. First tweet was, guys.
Wait, what we're saying is there's a Big Bird night. I can't buy that. I don't think
Big
that's
Bird has
representative of the country.
Big Bird has a big night on Twitter. But you also have to remember, Larry, Twitter is not representative of how things are going to go on Election Day. It's representative of what the buzz is tonight. So the buzz tonight had a lot to do with Big Bird, PBS,
Well, that's pitiful.
and Lehrer.
That's pitiful.
Yeah,
that's
It's
pitiful. If that's
popular
true, that's
culture,
pitiful.
though.
But I don't know who Olivia Wilde is. I think she's a famous,
She's a
beautiful
famous
girl
actress.
or something like that. But I think she's actually from my native city of Washington D.C. But I I have to say, I thought Romney had a friendly, cheerful look on his face all the time, and I thought so did Obama. I mean, I want to go back to this.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time watching documentaries about Nazism and the rise of Hitler, and you watch those, you see the incredible anger and craziness of those times, and then you see just the incredible civility of life in America. We are so incredibly fortunate to be here. I mean, that's the real takeaway that I had from tonight.
The debate that was the great game changer in my history was Kennedy-Nixon.
Yes.
Nixon was ahead going into that debate. People didn't really know John Kennedy. He was a senator from Massachusetts. Nixon was more famous. He was the vice president of the United States. I heard it on the radio. I called it even. I would call tonight almost even. I thought Romney was very good. I thought Obama was very good. This was, as you said, a very civil debate. If you heard it on the radio when you had the Nixon-Kennedy, you thought it was even. I got to the radio station. They were all raving about how Kennedy won that debate.
Because of the sweat on Nixon's upper lip.
That didn't
Neither
happen
of them,
tonight.
no one will ever make that mistake again.
There was no
ever.
PR effect tonight.
But,
No.
and you know, the great thing about tonight is that it made me think that the candidates are a lot more grown up than the political machines beneath them.
Very well put.
I
Very
would
well put.
rather see these two guys, and I'm not just saying that, you know, it's all the right wing, although I think it mostly is, but I would love to see just these two guys explain themselves and question each other. I mean, I would love a Lincoln-Douglas type debate.
You know,
I think that the
it
country
might
would
work.
benefit from it.
I thought they were explaining themselves.
Well, no,
Now,
but I mean without, just for more time, get rid of the moderator, go at
in this
it.
debate, they were showing the difference between a Republican government and a Democrat
Yeah,
government,
they were
and the
clear.
role of
Yeah.
government for both parties.
I
Over and over
agree.
again. And
You saw the
Which
clear
a lot
difference.
of clear deleneating
Yeah.
differences, which a lot of people unfortunately don't know the difference,
I
especially
think
when it
that's
comes
exactly
to
right,
taxes
but I
and
think
Medicare.
What is Romney was more specific than he's ever been before, but also so was Mr. Obama more specific. I don't think Mr. Obama ever explained why in 3.6 or 7 years he hasn't been able to do more with the economy, and I think he can explain it. By the way, he just didn't do it, and I don't think Mr. Romney explained really in detail how he's.
He
gonna
didn't
get
tell us
12
where the
million
cuts
jobs.
would occur.
It's where the 12 million jobs are going to come from, especially. But there was. Go back to high school. I mean, who do you vote for? The guy that you find likable and that you would like to have be the cool kid. You'd like to have him be the cool kid sitting next to you in homeroom. I thought both of them were cool kids. Both were cool kids.
Michael?
Cool, nerdy kids, maybe. I mean,
Yeah, cool.
there was a lot of information flying at me.
Two guys running for class president.
Yeah, and that's great. And, you know, I actually want that. I want a wonky president. I want a guy who I have faith in is going to dig our country out of the hole that we're in. And I think both guys presented their cases and presented them well.
By the way, we have college students here tonight from UCLA, and occasionally through the program, we'll go to some questions for them. In an interview on Morning Joe earlier today, Bob Woodward wondered if it's possible to run for president and be true to yourself. Do you think they were tonight?
Yes, and Bob Woodward doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm sorry, but yes, you can.
Your
run for
father
president.
knows.
Yes, and I think both these candidates, I think both President Obama remains true to himself, and I think Mitt Romney is remaining true to himself. That's a terrible thing to ask. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I have to say, one of the questions about Mitt Romney is who is the real Mitt Romney? Because we've seen the Mitt Romney of the Republican nominating process, who's a very different guy than I think presented himself here today.
Or was governor of Massachusetts.
Or was governor of Massachusetts.
But people evolve and change. I mean, even grown-ups,
Exactly.
even men. And I don't know. How old is Mr. Romney? Do you know?
65, right?
60, I think 60.
Well, he looked great.
good.
He apparently has the health of a
But anyway,
45-year-old.
My God.
I think people evolve and change, and I think the fact that he was so moderate when there are so many in our party who would not like him to be moderate, who would like him to be more
You think he was moderate tonight?
very moderate.
So did he hurt
Yeah.
himself with
And-
the Tea Party?
No, I don't think he did hurt himself with the Tea Party, because I think he made the point, we're not going to do these drastic cuts, we're not going to do anything drastic, but we're going to work towards an America based on the free enterprise system, and that's going to be our goal, is to expand freedom across the board. And I thought that was excellent. How he's going to get to these things, I don't know, especially the education piece, that worries me to death.
It was not a specific debate, was
No,
it?
it was not specific, but as I say, so good-natured it just made me happy.
But can I just say something, too? Given what has happened yesterday with the release of the Daily Caller video and the Drudge Report coming up with this video of Obama from, I believe, 4 years ago speaking, and there's, debate on the internet about what this video means, I really thought that Mitt Romney showed that he is a more moderate and humanized candidate than what we were talking about earlier, that's maybe the pundits and the more right-wing extreme of the party are trying to ruffle up.
Well, are you saying, Megan, that the right wing wing will be the extreme right wing will be disappointed in his performance?
No, I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed in his performance, but I was happy to see how statesmanly he looked, especially given that there is a lot of voices and static going on about things that, in my opinion, don't matter.
Yeah, I think he showed an admirable amount of restraint, actually. I think he did himself a great service by not going for cheap shots, by not attacking in the way that maybe he did with Newt Gingrich or maybe did with Rick Santorum during the primaries.
Making jokes about a birth certificate.
Exactly. he was statesmanlike and great. I mean, I think mission accomplished for Mitt Romney.
Well, there was no dirt at all, right?
There was no dirt at all, and nobody tried to humiliate anyone or make anyone cry. I thought to myself, this is not like debates I've seen in the past. I mean, I remember the debate in 2000 between Gore and Bush, and Gore was sort of circling around Bush like he was going to punch him. I mean, it looked like a boxing match was about to start. This was a very much more distinguished, dignified.
Can we safely say, if you were an Obama supporter, he didn't lose you tonight. If you were a Romney supporter, he didn't lose you.
But
if you were undecided, you may have had an effect on the Romney.
I think so.
Right.
I think so. I think if you were undecided, and if you thought he was just a calculating machine for making profits, you saw a different guy. And if you thought he was a guy who was going to be incredibly hard-hearted to the poor, you saw a different guy.
With us, joining us now from Google Hangout, is Eugene Kiley. He's Deputy Director of FactCheck.org. He's a veteran journalist. FactCheck.org is a project of the Annenberg Public Policy Center at the University of Pennsylvania, nonpartisan, nonprofit. Eugene, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you see and hear me?
Fact-checking standpoint, were there errors tonight?
There were plenty. A lot of the same kind of talking points that we've been seeing in the stump speeches. So there's a lot of work here for fact check.
Like examples?
Well, we were tweeting throughout the night as we were hearing some of the same things. And some of them are mistakes just in the way that they're presenting the information. They're stumbling over their own talking points. Romney at one point had said that 23 million Americans are out of work. The number is actually half that. The 23 million includes things like part-timers who are looking for full-time work and people who have stopped looking for work. Example, on the Obama side, he was talking frequently about this rebate that we're going to be getting from insurance companies, kept saying that you're going to get a rebate from the insurance companies. Well, most of those rebates are going to be going to employers, not to individuals, so don't stand by the mailbox waiting for your rebate check.
According to Fact Check, Romney appears to have mixed up two statistics. Obama's promise to reduce health insurance by $2,500, an optimistic claim we've questioned several times. This is Fact Check. The actual rise in insurance premiums, as we reported in March, the average cost of a family policy rose by $1,300 between 2010 and 2011. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation's annual survey, even if you include the year before, the increase was $1,700, not $2,500. Moreover, the $1,300 rise in premiums between 2010 and 2011 is the total cost for both employers and employees, not $1,300 out of pocket for the average family. Obama says he'd increase tax rate on high-income earners to no more than they paid under Clinton. That is not true. Romney says he will pay for the $5 trillion tax cut without raising the deficit or raising taxes on the middle class. Experts say that's not possible.
Well, but he said he wasn't going to have a $5 trillion tax cut, so I don't know what these people are checking. He said over and over again, I'm not going to have a $5 trillion tax cut, so I'm not sure what they're checking on. So they're checking.
Right. Well, what that $5 trillion figure represents is the amount of money that it would cost to reduce across the board the marginal income tax rates by 20%. So the question is, where do you get the $55 trillion over 10 years? $5 trillion.
Right, but he said he wasn't going to do that. I mean, whatever.
But his entire tax plan is reducing all rates by 20%.
He said he wasn't going to do that. He said his plan was that he would not reduce any taxes if it added to the deficit. So he's now laid out his tax plan.
He's going to reduce the tax rate.
Well, he has said he wouldn't reduce any taxes that in such a way as to add to the deficit. So we just had it from the horse's mouth. So,
but he said he would reduce the rate.
You're mixing up tax rates and taxes. He said he's not going to reduce taxes for the wealthy. But he did say, and he's not backing away from this, of course, is that he's going to reduce the tax rates by 20%, which he thinks will spur economic growth.
Well, he said about 10 times tonight, I'm not going to have that $5 trillion tax cut that you keep talking about, Mr. Obama, and I'm not going to cut taxes in any such way as increases the deficit. So I'm not.
Well, Obama tried to explain where it came from, right? Didn't he?
He tried to explain where it came from, and he was corrected over and over again by the guy whose plan it is. I think we should at least give Mr. Romney some credit for knowing his own plan. I mean, I don't know why we're assuming that it's a different plan from what he just said about 20 minutes ago on TV.
I think I would assume it's because as the president said, because for the last 18 months he's been saying, I'm going to reduce the tax rate by 20% across the board. He's been saying that.
Right, but now he's saying something else. So he's allowed to change and grow.
But, you know, Ben and I were both lawyers, and so if you really parse what Mitt Romney said, he said, I'm not going to reduce taxes, that it will increase the deficit. So presumably what I'm hearing is that he's going to reduce this tax rate, and then there's going to be some very draconian spending cuts that are going to affect the middle class, that are going to raise costs in the middle class that have yet to be articulated. Well, so it really does come to math. I mean, it doesn't really.
Let me just say, I think he said over and over again what he meant, and also it would be impossible to cut the amount of spending that you guys are talking about, and I think Mr. Romney is smart enough to know that.
Eugene Kiley, thanks very much on Fact Check. Let's go back over. Let's join us. Joining us now is Howard Bragman as well. He's vice chairman of Reputation.com, PR and communications expert. He was with us earlier in our pre-debate show. What was your analysis of the debate?
You know, I think we talked on the pre-show. The winner's the American people. There's very clear policy differences between these two guys. And I said, I hope people would listen to the policies and not go for zingers and smugness and smirks. And I think the American people can win. But the second thing I said was, this debate is going to be parsed over the next 12 or 24 hours online on social media by fact checkers, by people who are going to look at old clips. I will tell you the president was a little bit wonky and a little bit detailed, and Romney was a little bit vague. And I think Romney did very well. I think he acquitted himself very well, looked very presidential. If anybody was leaning towards him and had a doubt, I think he was fine. I think if you like the president, you will still like the president after this debate. The problem's going to come in. Romney's big problems are with groups of people, with women, with Latinos, with African Americans, with gays, with Jews. You can just go down the list. I didn't hear one thing on Romney's side that's going to help bridge that gap for him.
What he has to do, I'm sorry, Baker.
Well, just to your point, Howard, and this is sort of one of my big picture criticisms of today's Republican Party, is that I don't think that there is any strategy on the part of the GOP to reach out to those groups. What I see is a GOP that's a party that's been taken over by its extremes, by one that sort of gets a lot of traction on a lot of the divisive techniques and strategies that we've seen over the past 4 years. You know, it was interesting when they talked about, when the candidates talked about why it is Obama went forward with his health care plan without getting one single Republican vote. Well, it might be because Jim DeMint said that this health care plan was going to be Obama's Waterloo. It might be because they said that we're going to beat him. It might be because Mitch McConnell said they're number one.
Being so friendly
no. But I'm not. I'm so happy and I'm so friendly.
Okay.
But I just wish that the Republicans in Congress, instead of, you know, if Mitch McConnell.
I know, but
let me just. Wait, just one thing.
I get insulted when. Okay.
Go ahead.
I get insulted when Democrats assert that the only thing that Republican women care about is our vaginas. I mean, I
never said that.
More. No, but the assertion that this war on women, thank you, Ben, I appreciate that, but the assertion that the only thing that we care about is birth control and abortion.
I never said that.
No, but this is the
But in
assertion
fairness,
of this
I care a lot
war
about
on
women's vaginas.
Yeah, and I could care less about your vagina. I want to go.
Wait a second.
But the broader point I'm trying to make is, and I said this on air a few days ago, someone thought I was calling them stupid, but in the old James Carville adage, it's the economy, stupid. And right now we're looking at a $16 trillion deficit, unemployment over 8%. Let me tell you something, honey. If moms and wives and sisters and whatever come home and they don't have jobs and their husbands don't have jobs and their friends don't have jobs, that's all that's going to matter.
Why is he polling poorly among women.
Well, let's see how he pulls
Well,
off
it's
tonight.
But I would-
traditionally Republicans in the last several elections have polled more poorly among women, and there's nothing. The Republicans, I talked to Republicans at a very high level. They desperately would like to get more of the African American vote. They desperately would like to
But
do
you
that.
have said in the past here on this show that you think Obama's the winner because he can't make because Romney
Exactly
won't
right.
make inroads with Latinos, blacks.
No, it's a gigantic racial issue. I mean, I
Yeah.
thought we lived in a post-racial America, but we don't. We have 95% of the African Americans voting for Mr. Obama. It's perfectly fine. I understand it's not.
And there are
not
people
surprising.
against him
and there's
because
something
he's
like
black, right?
75. There's some who are against him because he's black. There's 75% of the Latinos, or 70%, are going to vote for Mr. Obama. I think we're seeing America fractionate into tribes. But I did see tonight none of that. I saw tonight nothing but reasonableness, calm, and civilization.
David Begnaud, what's anything away from Big Bird?
Larry, we've been tracking the buzz volume throughout the night since the very start of the debate. The spike of the night for President Obama came at the beginning when he wished his wife a happy anniversary. For Mitt Romney, when he talked about cutting funding to PBS at about 28 minutes into the debate, he hit about 2,000 tweets per minute. The president, when he mentioned Social Security about 42 minutes into the program, saw a pretty good spike. But across the board, you see a lot of red. When it comes to Twitter, more people were talking about Mitt Romney tonight than they were about Obama, especially when Mitt Romney mentioned education. Quite a ways into the program, Twitter really spiked and continued through the end of the
Now,
debate.
historically, that's true of the challenger in first debates. Right, Ben?
Historically, that is true. Again, I go back to the fact, since we're the only ones at this group old enough, well, I think we are, to remember the Kennedy-Nixon debates. Those were far more acrimonious debates. I mean, incredibly more acrimonious. This was a debate among extraordinarily
This was the least
educated
acrimonious
people
debate ever.
Ever. And a very, very big plus for America in these troubled times.
If I
get
can
a
speak to Twitter for a second, Mitt Romney has consistently been more popular on Twitter just by number of tweets than Obama for weeks. And that's not necessarily a good thing when you read what people are actually saying about Mitt Romney.
I see. We have a question from a college student.
Larry, we've got a great group from UCLA. Your name is Casey, and you
Yes.
think Mitt Romney won tonight.
I
What's your
do.
question or statement?
Well, the reason I think Mitt Romney won is I think he benefited greatly from being on the same stage as Obama, because he, instead of being viewed as a contender, was now seen in a professional setting. And I think he forced Obama to explain his policies. And it's funny because Obama has been running on kind of a slogan of looking forward when he really spent a lot lot going backwards.
Comment? Megan would
I
agree
think
with
she's
that.
wonderful.
Totally right. She nailed it exactly.
Very
Nailed it
well
exactly.
spoken as well.
Nailed it exactly.
The challenger usually does in the first debate by being on stage with the president.
I think in all cases that's true.
Most cases.
Well,
most
the
cases.
best guess, I think, was Kerry Bush. I think John Kerry won that first debate.
You know, in most cases,
George.
they come up, they look presidential. He looked
They're
good.
on an
he's-
equal footing.
Listen, Romney has looked presidential from the start. There's been not any question
You were
about
casting
that.
a president.
But you know,
Totally.
I wrote a piece just recently, just a few days ago, for the American Spectator, and I said, Romney, even to me, as a Republican and a political animal, is a mystery man. He's much less of a mystery man as of tonight, and not in terms of his policy, but he's just a smarter, more civilized, more pleasant, lively intellect than I thought he was.
But I think he has caused himself some problems with his continued vagueness about the programs. And you talked about the spike, and the work I do at Reputation.com is analyze sentiment online. And while there's a spike in interest, those were both bad moments. Talking about PBS going away was a bad moment for Romney. If that's the best example he could choose, I think he should have chose a better one. And for the president, talking about Social Security that he agreed with Mitt Romney, that was a bad moment for him.